Most people think that the Space Wolves Champions of Fenris detachment is bad. You're freaking wrong. The reality is you just don't understand how to win with it. And in today's video, I'm going to rescue this detachment. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know to be successful with this detachment. Guys, with this knowledge applied, you're going to be going 3-2. You're going to be going 4-1 at your events. I am fully confident that people will be able to go 5-0 at events with this detachment. I'm also not going to be claiming that it's the strongest detachment in the game. That is not my claim. But the reality is people look at this and they think that it's really, really bad because they don't understand how to win with it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull down the curtain and I'm going to illuminate how to win with this detachment, which is a little bit different than you might win with other detachments. So here we go. There's a fundamental flaw in understanding 40K. As I explain all of this, guys, I'm also going to be giving you a list to play with. And I'm also going to be demonstrating on TTS how to position this army to get very, very, very successful. This is it. So the fundamental flaw in understanding 40K is that people tend to not recognize that this is a victory point based game, not a health point system. If you're coming from Magic the Gathering, if you're coming from RTSs, if you're coming from basically any popular game out there, you are considering it you are coming from a health point game based background, meaning you destroy your opponent's models, you destroy your opponent's buildings, you destroy your opponent, you win. That's not how 40K works. 40K works on a victory point system. You can lose every single model in your entire army, and you can never kill a single model in your opponent's army and still win. So we have to understand what this detachment does much better than a ton of other detachments. So let's jump right on into the freaking mistake that everyone here is making. Everyone's thinking that it's really just going to be these durable Terminators. That's why you think it's bad. You think, oh, durable Terminators, okay, Wolfguard Terminators are tough, and in this detachment they get an extra OC. Whoop-de-doo. And then they start looking for all the damage combos. They start looking for the fallback shoot and charge. They start looking for all these cool things, and they don't see it. And they're like, well, this detachment doesn't kill things. This detachment doesn't whatever. And they think that it's not freaking good. This is where you're making your error. The detachment's rule allows you to make a charge in your opponent's charge phase when they are within 3 inches of you. Now, many people think, oh, well, I'll just stand 3.1 inches away from them, and then their detachment rule is freaking useless. No, that is why you're not understanding how powerful this is. You are thinking that the power is only applicable when you are within 3 inches of them. That is not correct. The simple fact that they have the ability to charge you in your charge phase, if you're within 3 inches of them, forces you to stand 3.1 inches away. That is the power. It's not even if they ever get to use it. It's that you can never stand within 3 inches of them. And that is a big, big deal. And I'm going to demonstrate it for you here today. All right. So here's the truth about this freaking army, guys. This is a denial army. You are going to be weaponizing your objectives. That's what I want you to be considering here, okay? You're not trying to survive. You're not trying to outkill your opponent. You're just trying to control how the game is played. You're not necessarily even controlling or holding all of the objectives. You're weaponizing these objectives. And let me explain how this works, and then I'm going to show you how this works the second I go to this TTS screen, and it's going to click for you guys. And remember, guys, I am not claiming that this is the most powerful detachment in the entire game. And I'll be very honest with you, I don't own Space Wolves, so I can't even run it at a tournament to demonstrate it to you. I'm running on TTS. I've had actually really great success with it. And if any of you aspiring Space Wolf players out there want me to prove the point, bro, just ship me your freaking army. I will treat it with respect, and I will take it to the tournament, and I will show you how it operates. I'll send it back to you with love and happiness so that you can be successful in your own right. Okay, so how does the army actually work? Well, here's what it's going to do, okay? We are going to force, expose, and punish. First, we're going to force interaction. We're going to take our Space Wolf Terminators, or our Wolfguard Terminators. We're going to turn one deep strike them using Logan's ability onto either our opponent's natural expansion or onto our own natural expansion. Typically, it'll be onto or right off of your opponent's natural expansion. That Terminator brick will have 20 OC because you get +1 OC in this detachment. So if you have Arjack leading the unit or Logan himself leading the unit, it'll be up to 22 OC. They are T5 -1 be wounded when strength is higher than toughness. They have armor contempt. They have a 2-up armor save. They have a 4-up invulnerable save. 4 wounds each because you're going to outfit them all with storm shields except for the 2 models that will have assault cannons. And then in this detachment, if you recall, you actually have some pretty cool stratagems. So one of those stratagems will enable you to have stealth. So suddenly your Terminator squad is going to be -1 to be hit, -1 to be wounded, 2 up armor save, in cover, armor contempt, 4 of invulnerable save, 4 wounds each. This is a unit that does not particularly care if it gets shot. And if it does get shot by your opponent's entire army, that's great because that is doing the second part of your game plan. So your first game plan is to force your opponent to engage. When they are forced to engage, they're going to have to expose themselves. Whether that's walking out their Rogodorn to draw a line of sights into you, whether that's they're going to be charging out with their whatever blah 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 melee unit, they expose themselves, and then you punish them for that exposure. Whether it's your Gladiator Lancer, who is buffed up by an Iron Priest, who has now 3 big get-wrecked cannons, which is absolutely a dramatic different threat than a single Lancer with only 2 get-wrecked big laser destructors. Or if it's you're charging in with your head takers to countercharge the melee threat that your opponent went in with. This is a very, very big deal. So you force your opponent to engage with the Terminators. The reason why the force works is actually the detachment rule. Because if your opponent wants to simply out-OC you, they can't put 20 or 10 Gretchen on the objective and just out-OC you, because you will end up charging them, because you're going to be standing in such a way that every single model in your unit is going to be within 3 inches of every edge of the objective. Yes, I know this exposes your unit, but now your opponent has to take the bait to kill your unit. And that is the only way they're going to get through it. Now, it's not about your Terminator surviving. It's about where it forces your opponent to stand. So why don't I give you an example of the list, and then I'm going to go onto the TTS screen, and I'm going to show you how to position to pull all of this off, okay? Let's get right on into this thing. Here we go. Here's the fail point. Like I said, if killing your Terminators is safe for your opponent, that means that you're positioning wrong. So it's okay for your Terminators to die. You don't win because your Terminators live. You win because you punish all of the units that expose themselves to kill your Terminators, and then you sweep the board. So here's the list that I would recommend just as a starting point. And there's lots of innovation that you can do to change this, okay? You can start with Arjak Rockfist, Logan Grimnir, 2 Iron Priest, Wolfguard Battle Leader. I give him Wolf's Wisdom. That is up in the air. You can choose to do that or not. You can change that up if you'd like. 1 Intercessor Squad, 1 Infiltrator Squad, a Scout Squad, 6 Wolfguard Head Takers. I typically like double weapons because their job isn't to survive. Their job is to go murder the thing that needs murdering. 2 squads of 10 Wolfguard Terminators, 2 5-man Fenrisian Wolves, double Lancer, and an Impulsor. All right, this is the list. Let me kind of demonstrate for you exactly how this operates on the board. So I need to click this button. Oh, pardon me. And now you can see my TTS screen. All right, so let's flop it this way. We are playing Champions of Fenris. I've got my 10-man Wolfguard Terminator squad here. I've got my scouts who are going to be securing my landing zone for my 10-man that starts in reserves. So they're going to be securing the landing zone here. And what I mean by that is I need a place. I need to guarantee that I can drop my Terminators in turn 1. So if I get to deploy first, then I will deploy my scouts right here. What my scouts do is they guarantee that my opponent cannot put his infiltrators down here to block the arrival of my Wolfguard Terminators in turn 1. Now, if I don't deploy first, then my scouts obviously cannot achieve this, and that is A-okay. If I deploy first and go first, my scouts start here. They'll probably scout forward to go do some actions or do some move blocking. My Terminators will then deep strike right on this objective. Let me just go ahead and move this here. And they're going to stand right here. Now, once my Terminators are on this objective, boom. We look at what our opponent has to do to shoot us. If our opponent chooses to shoot us, what they're going to have to do is cross this red line that I have drawn. This is a very big problem for our opponents, because the second they cross this red line to shoot us, they get lit up by a Gladiator Lancer that has rapid fire on his big cannon from this Iron Priest. And they can't shoot our Gladiator Lancer first because there's no line to shoot the Gladiator Lancer. We could even do it like that to make it a little bit more challenging. This Iron Priest has blown up when he's within 3 of the Lancer, so he's safe as well. So if your opponent wants to put something here to shoot our Wolfguard Terminators, first off, it better be something hyper relevant like a Rogodorn or something like that. Because if it's not going to do much at all into this big break of 10. -1 to be wounded, probably -1 to be hit, Wolfguard Terminators, who are in cover with potential access to armor contempt. You guys are getting the whole drift, right? So it better be something hyper relevant, which is not going to enjoy getting hit by 3 shots, getting to free reroll 1 to hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage roll. That is going to be at strength 14, AP 4, damage D6 plus 3. And remember, you get to re-roll those due to the Lancer's innate abilities. That is a very, very big problem. So if he does expose the big threat, okay, great. Sure, maybe you kill 4 Terminators. I don't care. And then I kill your Rogodoran. Or your Rogodoran equivalent. And even if I don't kill your Rogodoran equivalent, I severely hamper it, and then I kill it with these guys. You see what I'm saying? It creates so much problem for your opponent with the way that they have to expose. Now, if your opponent wants to charge into these Wolfguard Terminators, no problem, because at the same time, we actually have our Impulsor right up here. The chances are really high that we just go ahead and disembark our Wolfguard Head Takers. Here they are. We have our Wolfguard Head Takers completely disembarked, who now have a 6-inch aura of you can't end that charge in range. So if our opponent does charge, we're going to have the ability to actually get back into the combat here. So when their base ends up here, if your opponent, let's say, they charge us with a, I don't know, Deathwing Knight, for example. Boom. And they have to base us. What we do is we just make sure that our opponent will be within 6, and then we can for free charge them, because they have the enhancement for the 6-inch charge. And if we don't have the enhancement, then we just have it as a normal heroic intervention. It's no problem, okay? All right, so this is the position that you want. You want to force your opponent to have to come from this angle to shoot you. Your opponent has to charge out here to charge into you. If your opponent is shooting you from this angle, you really don't care, because they're about to get lit up by 10 freaking Terminators. See what I'm saying? So this is the big problem that you're presenting your opponent with. Now, if I don't go first, what do? Well, let me just kind of change this up, because everyone's like, oh, great, that's great. All good and well if you do go first, but if you don't go first, what do? Then you just drop these guys right here, and then you move on in your next turn, and you deny them in battle round 3. It really is that simple. Once again, forcing your opponents to come expose themselves. Now, this is a big problem, because once we are right here, our opponent is never scoring their natural expansion until they kill this squad, which is going to take one heck of a dedication. We will be scoring our natural expansion. We've got our OC, I don't know, 10 probably, that we can come on here without actually having to expose ourselves. If we have to, because they want to come try to deny us, we can just walk out into the open. Anything that wants to shoot us from here, we light them up with a rapid-fire Gladiator Lancer. Our rapid-fire Gladiator Lancer can also shoot anything that's coming out of this angle. We've got another one right here that's blasting anything that's right here. So we can sandwich all of these nasty shooting threats that our opponents are coming at us. We have a big counter-charge unit in the form of these Wolfguard Head Takers. We've got everything set that we need to have. If I score 5 points here and deny you 5 points here, and I score 5 points here, and I score 5 points here, that's setting me up for 15s while you're getting 5s. Your opponent has to be the aggressor in this situation. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm saying you can stand here. I'm not saying that you should stand here. You should only stand here if you have to. Otherwise, it's always better to be behind this. What you do when you create this huge victory point differential scoring is you are forcing your opponent to be the aggressor and take the risk. Now they have to hope that they're going to cleave through this entire unit of -1 to hit and shooting, basically always -1 to be wounded. I mean, I know it's only when strength is higher than toughness models that realistically are going to have a fight on death, because the unit that deep strikes here is going to be led by Arjak Rockfist. They've got access to sustained hits or lethal hits on demand due to the detachment. You can't out OC them, because even if you could get 40 OC right here somehow on this very tiny sliver of this objective, you could just charge them in their turn. This is a very, very big problem for your opponent to actually deal with. These Lancers don't just sit here, guys. These Lancers are here to destroy the threats that come out to deal with your Terminators. And once these Lancers pop those Castigators, those more involved squads, those freaking whatevers, that dramatically reduces the amount of threat that your opponent has to put into the Wolfguard Terminators, because he has to put his valuable stuff in to deal with these Wolfguard Terminators, which then allows you to kill his valuable stuff first. This squad's job is not to survive, people. This squad's job is to force your opponent to dramatically expose all of their relevant heavy hitters, at which point You then kill the relevant heavy hitters, and then you clean up. This is a strong detachment. What I've done here is I have laid out kind of the ideal scenario, like a hammer and anvil on GW8 is basically the best that you can get here, because your job is to recreate this on the other maps. Now, I have recreated on the other maps. It works on all the other maps. There are some maps that this does not work on. For example, if you're playing Crucible of Battle GW4, this army is not going to do very well. It's just not going to serve you very well. I can pretty much guarantee you that. But this is the key. Detachment, not all detachments are good on every single player pack. And when you're planning your army for a tournament, you plan your army for the tournament that you're going to. If you're seeing a lot of GW8, a lot of GW1, if you're seeing GW7, if you're seeing GW6, this army is actually very, very good. These are the places that you really want to be running this. Even GW3 to an extent, if you're seeing GW3. If you're seeing lots of 4s and Crucibles, it's not the army for that player pack. And I don't think that you should try to force this army to work on map packs that it's not good at. So we play this army on the tournament packs that this army is good at, and you will see some serious success, and you're going to have an absolute blast for that. So let me go back to the PowerPoint here for just a moment, and we'll wrap this darn video up. Okay. So here's what I want you guys to do when you are playing this freaking army. I do want you to force commitment. You have to press the issue on your opponent. It's actually kind of very similar, in fact, to how my Dark Angels with Wrath of the Rock list operates. You have to protect your punishment pieces. You don't expose your Lancers until after your opponent has already exposed their disgusting shooting. You're not even pushing into your opponent's deployment zone almost ever, because once you're on these objectives, that's your win condition. Your win condition is not to actually table your opponent. Your win condition is to score victory points and deny victory points to your opponent. Your Wolfguard Terminators are denying your opponent's primary while they're scoring your primary. If your opponent never pushes into your Wolfguard Terminators, who cares? Stand there and win the game, because you're going to create the victory point differential that you need. If they do expose themselves to kill the Wolfguard Terminators, that's when you expose all of your big nasties to then destroy their big nasties. What you have to stop doing if you want to be successful with this list is you have to stop playing passive. You have to stop overextending. Remember, you don't need to push into your opponent's deployment zone to win. You need to control the primary and deny the primary, and you need to allow these, well, maybe safe trades is the wrong word. I shouldn't have typed safe trades. You need to allow these victory point swings that are really, really freaking important for you. If you do this, you guys will see an incredible amount of success with what people consider one of the worst detachments in the game. But it's not. It's simply people fundamentally misunderstanding how they're supposed to be winning with this army. Guys, you don't win by surviving, you win by punishing. I hope you enjoyed the absolutely adorable Wolf Cub pictures. It's Space Wolves. How am I not going to do Wolf Cub pictures? Guys, if you want to take this stuff seriously, if you want to get into the thought process of how to make these detachments work and have an incredible amount of success and fun actually developing these different ways of playing, join the Discord, sign up for some coaching calls, and let's get to work making you the best Warhammer player that you can be. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Until next time, this was Detachment Rescue, and Crump on. Bye-bye.